Hey there friends, it's Codiak here. Welcome back to Legacy Gaming and another video for Lost Ark. We've put out a ton of beginner guides and videos breaking down things like the Founders Packs, and I wanted to just change things up and do something a bit different with this one. One of the things that continues to happen to me, even with hundreds of hours in the game, is the overwhelming nature of Lost Ark. There are a lot of systems at play, and if you've checked out either our Ultimate Preview video or our complete endgame guide, then you know there's a lot you can tap into from the moment you fire up the game. Today I want to talk to you about launch day. What are some realistic goals? What are some things you should focus on? And talk more about how you can make the most out of those first 24 hours and beyond. I realize a lot of people are going to take the day off, and that's awesome. I wish I could do something like that because an MMO launch is unlike anything else. Based on the beta numbers, I would estimate this game is going to see somewhere close to 100,000 players, if not more, playing on launch day at peak. For me, the very first thing I'm going to do is make a few characters and reserve the names that I want. This is an old trick with MMOs, especially at launch, where players jump right in, make a bunch of tunes, and lock in unique names. The thing to keep in mind is that names do not automatically release when a character is deleted. It was confirmed by the community manager Roxanne that names have to be manually released by the development team. That means you have to be careful what class you use with what name. If you don't end up wanting to play that class, the name might end up in limbo for a considerable amount of time. Once you get past the character customization screen, which may take you 5 minutes or 5 hours, your next real task is to decide if you want to take on the Prologue or not. If you're someone that hasn't played the game on the Russian servers or the beta, and you're coming in completely new to Lost Ark, don't skip this. Not only do you get an introduction to various systems, but it sets up the main story, something that's still being unfolded in the Korean version of the game. Remember, it's an MMO and the story is ongoing. If you've done the Prologue once, there's really no reason to do it again, so feel free to skip it and pick up right before you reach the first town. I want to point out that if you plan on playing right when the launch window opens, the best thing you can do is get out in front of the pack if that's possible. I'm not saying rush through the game, but trying to break away from the main herd that might clog up the first city hub is a smart move. We have no idea how stable servers will be at launch, but if the beta is any indication, things will be pretty good. During that window, the game reached almost 90,000 concurrent players with stability issues few and far between, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be ready and have a plan if things start going south. Next up, of course, we have questing, and this is going to really boil down to how you want to experience Lost Ark. If you're someone that values speed, doesn't care about the main story, and just wants to reach the end game, then your best bet is to just focus on the main story missions and those sudden missions, the red icon ones, that pop up. This is something I've talked about on a number of different occasions, but it's the best way to get to level 50 and get ready for endgame content. Along the way, make sure to pick up every single triport, no exception. If you're thinking ahead to all the things that you have to do like collectibles, adventure tomes, and Una's tasks, you never know when you're going to need to go back to a specific part of the world, even some of these starting areas, and having a network of instant teleports is going to be key. If you are someone that doesn't care about speed and you just want to enjoy the game, that's fine. Do everything. Pick up every side quest chain, whatever. Not only are you getting a more all-encompassing experience, truly living in the world of Arcasia, but you're also picking up other things like additional silver and roster XP. Doing this is 100% a slower method of leveling, but you're also getting more experience playing your class, trying out different builds, as well as those additional rewards I just mentioned. Ultimately, both methods will get you where you need to be, level 50, with a set of gear that gets you into Chaos Dungeons. It's just a matter of what road you choose to follow. Alright, so let's really open this thing up and talk about distractions. There are so many distractions on the road to level 50, and I want to make sure everyone knows which distractions are worth your time and which ones aren't. First up are rapport NPCs. This is the relationship system within the game, and you're going to run across plenty of these folks while you're leveling. It takes a long time to build up a full relationship with each NPC, and to be honest, you're not going to have a lot of options at the start. So in my opinion, this is a wasted endeavor for right now. Personally, I'm going to shelve rapport until I reach 50 and have built up my virtue stats. This will ultimately give me more options, more things to do with each NPC when I eventually double back and start building up their reputations. The long and short of it is this: you could spend a lot of time trying to please each rapport NPC you meet along the way, but it's a massive time sink system, one you can't really make headway on early on, so it's best to just wait. Next are life skills, and this kind of goes hand in hand with your stronghold. Could you spend hours on end mining ore and picking flowers? Sure, you could, and eventually you'll use those materials, but to really lean into life skills early on is another big time sink. The goal, in my mind, is to make sure you have enough resources to keep your stronghold upgrading, moving forward. You're going to need your workshop and lab in the endgame, and because each upgrade takes hours, sometimes tens of hours, you really should start those advancements as soon as possible. The early upgrades aren't super resource intensive, so figure out what you need to keep your island moving forward, to keep upgrading, harvest the resources, and then shift your focus back to leveling. As soon as you get to Lake Bar and start unlocking your life skills, the urge is going to be to hit every node along the way. I know that's a trap because I fall into it all the time. Just be mindful of the fact that every second you're hitting a node is another second you're not leveling, so just be mindful of the balance. In short, unlock your life skills, harvest what you need to start upgrading your stronghold, specifically your workshop, and then continue on questing and reaching the endgame. At some point, sooner than you think, you're going to be looking for things to do, and being able to fall back on life skills after you complete your daily and weekly progression activities is going to be great. Alright, hopefully I don't ruffle any feathers here, but honestly, wasting your time on collectibles while you're leveling is a huge missed opportunity. Just my opinion, but I'm not going to be running around looking for Makoko seeds when I could be back later on. Look, no one is saying collectibles aren't valuable. In fact, they're critical for unlocking things like skill point potions and other valuable items, but again, it's about being efficient with your time. That's really what this entire video boils down to. Can you be efficient with your first day or days with the game? We've talked about each of these collectible systems in our recent endgame guide, so if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, go check out that video, because the systems are expansive and all a bit different. Makoko seeds are really the one I want to highlight here because these are present right from the jump, and you can spend hours searching every crack and crevice of the starting zones looking for these little green seedlings. Is it worth it eventually? Absolutely, but not at this point. The only exception here are the Makoko seeds you can find in the leveling dungeons. I'd argue it's a bit more of a waste to have to go back into those a second time to find the seeds, so I think there's some leeway here. But other than that, collectibles are something I will 100% come back to later on. Again, I want to remind you guys that the endgame progression content at T1, Chaos Dungeons, and Guardian Raids aren't endlessly repeatable activities. Sure, you can do them over and over again, but there's no real gain there. All that other time is when you'll be working on collectibles, doing life skills, and everything else we're talking about skipping. The final distraction I want to touch upon is a big one, and it's the Adventure Tome. You can't talk about a time sync system without including this one because it's a beast. Breaking it all down, you have quite a few factors to consider. Collectibles, which are items that drop from special NPCs, vistas, which are cinematic viewpoints you can find around the region, dungeons, which will most likely be completed as part of your leveling experience, monsters, which are elite enemies you can hunt down, bosses, which are large open-world fights that require tons of people to take down, stories, which are small bits of lore off the main questline you can find, rapport, the relationship systems we talked about before, and triports, the fast travel network. Trying to complete every single thing while you're leveling is a tall order, one that will take you hours, if not days, to complete, depending on how much time you have to play the game. Are there benefits for doing your Adventure Tome? No doubt, and there are some really valuable things here, like rapport gifts, stat boost potions, and the ultimate prize, Ignia tokens, which feed another collectible system. These are all things you're going to want to get at some point. I'd argue you don't need any of the rewards except maybe the Phoenix Plumes while you're leveling. If a named NPC is in your path, kill it. That way it's something you can check off the list, but going out of your way, scouring the far corners of each region is just going to burn valuable time. You're going to need to return to each region eventually, especially if you plan on hunting down Makoko seeds, and while you're doing that, you can kill two birds with one stone and start chipping away at your Adventure Tome. But here again, it's a matter of coming back to this system once your progression stuff is underway. Inevitably, some of you are going to reach the endgame on day one. The current leveling record is 10 hours, I believe, which means it's very possible to hit 50 on launch day, depending on the server stability. We plan on doing a full guide breaking down what your daily and weekly progression should look like, so I don't want to go in depth with that here, but let me at least give you a snapshot. Your first objective is to complete your daily Chaos Dungeons and Guardian Raids. You can do 2 of these per day for maximum rewards. Next would be to focus on your Una's tasks, the daily and weekly missions you have available. Focus on quests that reward upgrade materials first. Then I would focus on advancing your rapport with various NPCs. Like I said, this is a long process, so do what you can with each of them each day to build the relationships. Speaking of relationships, donate to your guild. Every day you can donate silver, gold, and honor points, and the more you donate, the faster your guild progresses, and the more bloodstones you get, which you can use at the guild shop. Of course, keep upgrading your stronghold. We talked about that before, and at this point, you're hopefully well on your way. This also includes building up a supply of resources via life skills. Finally, at 50, you'll have access to that rolling calendar we've talked about in other videos. This will show you events like ghost ships and chaos gates. There are daily and weekly offerings here, so pick your poison carefully. Once you get through those things, it's time to focus on collectibles and all the rest of the content the game has to offer. It may sound simple, just a few bullet points, right? But we're talking about hours and hours of gameplay. Lost Ark truly begins at the endgame, but that's not to say the rest of the experience leading up to that is bad. Again, I'm just trying to put it all into perspective for you. I think it's important to double down on something here. This entire video is just outlining my own plans for dealing with the launch of the game, a path I think works well. My number one goal is to establish the Legacy Guild, then work on reaching level 50 as soon as possible. The quicker I do that, the sooner I can access progression content, as well as have time for the rest of the systems or distractions, as I'm calling them in this video. Now for the real truth, you guys can completely ignore everything I'm saying, that's totally fine, but realize this game can be a bit overwhelming. Lost Ark throws system after system at you, and once you reach the first city, you're going to either get lost in a sea of endless activities or stay laser focused on your goal to reach the endgame. Efficiency is something I've been working on for a long time. As a content creator that has a family and a full-time job, I can't afford to live any other way, and I choose to try and take that efficiency and inject it into my video games. With Lost Ark on the horizon, I'm really going to push myself to make this the centerpiece of how I approach the game, making sure that every time I log in, I'm using that time wisely, something I didn't do back in my World of Warcraft days. Regardless of how you play the game, hopefully something I talked about in this video helped you come up with a game plan for launch. That was really the intention with this content. Everyone is going to approach things differently, but keep in mind how much there is to do within the game and prioritize the things that are most valuable at that time. Anyways, friends, you know Legacy Gaming is going to have a huge presence within the game. Our Discord community is closing in on 2,000 members just in there for Lost Ark. So if you want to be part of one of the largest NA East guilds, all you have to do is click the link in the description and join us on Discord. If you've been following along with our Lost Ark coverage, then you already know we've got a lot of content lined up, ready to go for launch. We've been chipping away at the NA EU PTR, trying to get videos ready for you all. So if you appreciate that work, we'd appreciate the support. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more Lost Ark in your feeds. Finally, if you like everything we're doing here at Legacy Gaming and you'll want to support the channel even more, you can do so by becoming a member. For just a couple bucks a month, you're helping us achieve our dreams of making YouTube a full-time passion. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.